If you, like so many other people, bought fuel pumps off eBay or online for $15 to $20 and read a lot of other people's feedback saying they were perfectly good and it was a no-brainer or whatever. Let me give you some information. First of all, there are aftermarket fuel pumps, usually from sellers in America who are getting it from distributors and manufacturers in China, and they're just pure junk. This one is JDM Speed. It comes with a box that says JDM Speed electrical fuel pump, and on it it has a E213. Now, I bought three of these, and I bought three of these for about $16. The first one I got worked fine when I hooked it up. I jumped the fuel pump relay. I filled up my carburetor, and it started up fine. When I when I did the engine rebuild on it, I was playing around or taking the engine apart. I had to jump the fuel relay again, and it seemed like the electronics was so sensitive that it blew the circuit. So I contacted the manufacturer. They gave me a refund, and I sent it back. No problem. Because they honored the warranty, and because I had a good experience when I sent it back, I bought two additional ones. Okay, because I knew at start, I didn't know if that was just a maybe a defective part or whatever. So the first one, which is this one, I bought three of them. First one I had to send back. The second one hooked up, and I rode it for all summer. I rode it all summer and put about 6,000 miles on it before it started acting crazy. I'd come out and I would have gas all over the ground, and I have these rubber mats, so the rubber mats kind of soak it in and suck it up, but it doesn't do anything to the rubber mats. Um, Basically, there was a leak on the hair because the problem is not the pump. The pump works fine. The problem is the diaphragm in here. The diaphragm in here is inferior. The pump is very robust and it's very powerful, but the diaphragm inside here is just so fragile and weak that it can't hold the pressure. It blew the seals, it started leaking, and then finally it just gave out or it just stopped pumping. Now, if I put this onto the harness and jump the relay, it's going to go click, 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 click like it's supposed to, but it's not working, or the pressure is not what it's supposed to be. It's either reduced or it's zero, due to the diaphragm inside. So I got 6,000 miles. I made a video on what happened to my tire and my swing arm when this thing started leaking. I contacted the manufacturer, and now they've, they won't honor the warranty. So I'm asking eBay to just, remove them off their website or take some punitive action because these things are just pure junk. 6,000 miles or 3 months is just pure junk. So, because I bought two of them, one as a primary and one as a spare, I mounted the spare. And this is the spare. Exact same one. There's the second box. Same number, same box, JDM Speed. Same manufacturer, same warranty, same everything. Um, this one I've had sitting around. It has not been used. I mounted it last week, and it's dead now. I got out there, started it up. This one didn't leak. This one did not leak at all. But the diaphragm inside here is causing crazy stuff to happen. Now, if I plug this up and jump the fuel pump relay, it's going to go click, 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 click like it's supposed to. But it's not putting out the right fuel pressure because of the inferior diaphragm in here. Now the motor is very robust, and if you ask me, the pressure is too high. Okay. Now that high pressure and that inferior diaphragm has caused several noticeable differences, or several things that I've really, because I'm very, I notice a very little mild gradients or performance differences in the engine, at because I'm really, going through and checking my valves and compression and rebuilding, things. So I'm really noticeable in performance. The first thing is that the pressure is too high, causing my float valves to be set at a different idle, and also my mileage. Now, with the pair system that I've told you about, because I had a problem with my pair system, um, basically I'm getting very poor gas mileage. And I cannot tell because of my pair valve if the pair is broken, if I've got a vacuum leak, if I got a valve leak, or if it's something else, like running rich. Ever since I swapped out the fuel pump, I've been having low gas mileage. So I'm getting about 120 miles to the gallon. 120 miles to a tank, jetted. It's jetted, when I should be getting 240 to 200 to 200, about 200 to 240 gallons per tank, and that's maybe $7.50 or $8 typically. I run 87 gas. So 87 gas, $7 to $8. I should be getting about 200 to 240 mile range. Typically, jetted, I expect about 180 to 160. Typically, I'm getting 120, maybe sometimes 80. I don't know, and especially if I'm putting it at high RPM, and I can't diagnose the problem because I can't tell if it's running rich. My settings are all the same. 4.5 settings, 4.5 turns on my primary jets, my primary gas fuel mixture, factory 2 turns on my pilots. They always work the same. I max out. That's my maxed out setting where I get the maximum power, I get the maximum mileage, and everything. That is the ideal. I've played with all the settings, and that is my sweet spot where I get the most power and the most range. 200 to 240 is my maximum range on a gallon of gas. Ever since this fuel pump, the OEM one, went down, now the Honda OEM one, let me tell you about the Honda OEM one. This is the Honda OEM one. I bought 2 new ones. I bought 2 OEM Honda fuel pumps. These are very good. Honda OEM, they're made by Mitsuba. These are very good. Mine, the original ones, lasted 20 something years, and I got about 40,000 out of them. So the, the fuel pump that you get with your original motorcycle, or the Honda one OEM, you should be getting about 40,000, in which case it lasted over 20 years. It's the original one. It just recently gone out on me. So, you don't know if it's, because it's been sitting around for a long time, or it's been exposed to all these, hot temperatures and climates, or it's just the diaphragm and the parts are worn out. But I personally got about 40,000 out of it, and it lasted over 20 something years. That's Honda for you. That is the reliability, and that's the performance that you expect from Honda parts. Um, this is a 97 one. Now, if you're going to buy OEM fuel pumps off the internet, you can buy any of them for the CBR, any model VFR other than the 800 fuel injected. Any carbureted one, 94 to 97, 90 to 90 to 93, or even the 86 ones. The 86 ones are the same too. The CBR ones, CBR 600, are the same. CBR 900 are the same. Okay. The Magna ones are the same. All those fuel pumps OEM will fit. The only difference is that the 9097 one, the reverse nozzles, meaning that the input is actually on the output side and the output is on the inside. To alleviate that, you just flip the whole thing over. Okay? So when you take this rubber, you take the rubber out as I did here, and the rubber on this one is pretty. I've got so many of these, so I've got to repair this one. I'll take rubber from a inner tube and I'll cement it, rubber cement it on there, and it works pretty good. Super glue it, then rubber cement it, no problem from there. So if not, just take the cable. If the cable holds it fine. But the the uh, the the aftermarket one is identical to the model. So the input is on, so it goes in like this. See, when it goes in like this. So the input, which is marked input, is closer to you, whereas the output is on that side. Now to tell, you'll look into the nozzle here, and if you look into the nozzle there, you'll see a little white little thing. Here's the OEM. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a white little diaphragm, little white little plastic thing in there that you can see. That's the output. Okay, so when you look at it and you see that white one, the other one's pitch dark, you can't see anything. The white one is the output. So that's the input, that's the output. This thing is usually mounted like this, but you can't tell when you put it like that. Okay, it fits fine. It fits the same carriage. It's turned 180. You can take this plastic thing and turn it any way you want, but this thing has to flip. Okay, now on the OEM rubber piece, you're going to have the same mounting. So the OEM, make sure you get this OEM rubber piece. Otherwise, you're going to take this one and put it on here, and it's not going to work. The OEM one has to go there, and it'll fit on the bracket. Okay, so this is a 9097 one. It fits fine. If it doesn't fit fine, you can work with it, modify it, or as I've done, use safety wire and just do the safety wire method. The output is the little white thing. Now, if you go with the CBR or any of the Honda OEM ones that you get from a salvage yard, they run between $30 and $50. Well worth it. The OEM brand new one is $130. So the OEM one is $130, depending on where you get it from or who you purchase it off. You can get it from a salvage yard for about $30 to $50, which I think is pretty reasonable compared to the junk aftermarket ones that don't even last 1 week or 3 months. Okay. Again, I've asked, I don't know if this is a defective set, but there are warranties on these for 3 years. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on or if this is a defective batch. What I know is that these 3 of them have gone down on me, and this one caused a lot of damage on my swing arm and the paint job on my rear tire. So this one was a pain in the ass. This one lasted 1 week, and in 1 week it's dead now. The problem is the diaphragm. And when your fuel pump goes out, what's going to happen is that you start it and it's going to cut off. You start it again, it's going to cut off. You start it again, it just cuts off. If it's a cold start, you start it, you pull the choke on it, start it, starts up, and then all of a sudden it revs up like it's supposed to, and then it just dies. It's because the fuel pump has stopped, and you're draining your carburetor bowls of any residue or residual gas that's in the carburetor bowls. Now, it can only do this for so long before the fuel pump gives out completely. If the fuel pump is intermittent, which means that it turns on and turns off, turns on and turns off. Intermittent is what happens before a part dies. It becomes intermittent. whether it's your battery, whether it's your lights, or whether it's something else. You'll see that it'll become intermittent. It starts to flicker. It starts to do on and off little things. It's trying to tell you it's about to die. On a car, typically, when you listen to somebody and they break down and they say, "Oh, I've been having a little problems with this," most likely the part died. It's going to be a little intermittent problem before. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes it just dies because you're you're pushing it or you're not turning it on and off long enough. So the intermittent one doesn't necessarily have to indicate a part failure, but it's one of the symptoms that indicates that the part is about to fail. So if you have a VFR, CVR, or any of the carbureted old Hondas as I do, I would highly recommend that you be very careful with these fuel pumps. In my case, I didn't have to push it far. In my case, they both just I tested. I know how to test them. It takes me 10 minutes to fix this. I can put one of these on in 10 minutes. Okay? I can test it in 10 minutes. If you take it to a shop, if this is your daily commute or that this is your only means of transportation to go to work, you're looking at taking the day off. First of all, you're going to have to get it towed. You have to take the day off. They have to order the part, and they're not going to use OEM. They're only going to use OEM parts. They're not going to use salvage parts. So you're looking at a bill of about $300 for a fuel pump versus a $15 one that you get off eBay that you can do yourself. My recommendation is to learn to do it yourself, but buy the salvage ones. This is a 10-minute job. It shouldn't take more than 20 or 30 minutes. It's only a couple bolts and two clamps on here. Okay? That's all there is. To jump it, it's very simple. I put a video out on how to jump it, but as you can see, it can create a nightmare. By the time that if you go the route where you take it to the shop, by the time that you get this resolved from the point that the fuel pump dies to the point that you have to get it towed, you're looking at a bill in excess of $300. Okay, for the tow, for the labor, for the new part, and for the lost wages. So it is a headache and it is a total nightmare. For me, it was no big deal. 10 minutes, I saw it. I was very paranoid after the first one, very paranoid, but then this thing lasted 3 months and then it started acting on me. So I become very paranoid with it. And sure enough, I bought two new ones. I bought two new OEM ones. One was off a CBR 600 and one was off a 97 VFR. Um, when I tested it, they tested fine, but on the 94, 97, I noticed that it wasn't pumping. So, I was like, don't tell me that the nozzles are switched around. And sure enough, the nozzles were switched around when I switched up the input and output. So if it's making the noise and it's not pumping, switch it around. It should be working. OEM. OEM, it's either dead or it's either dead, it doesn't make any noise, or it does. There's no in between. The aftermarket, it can make all that noise, click, 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 like it's got a robust engine, but the diaphragms turn to crap. So you've gotten, in my opinion, the pressure's too high. It's causing it to run rich. It's causing low mileage. It's causing all kinds of problems. When I'm revving this thing at high revs, it's causing the fuel pump to go higher, and it's causing more and more problems on that diaphragm and everything. So on the startup, I've noticed a difference. On the mileage, I haven't verified it, but I'm pretty sure that's the cause of my low mileage. I'm pretty sure that it's causing my carburetors to run rich at high RPMs, causing the low mileage. I cannot diagnose it because of the pair system, and basically the overall throttle feel is different. But for a while, it works pretty good. For the first for a little while it works great, then it just goes to hell. So there's my take on it. They're not going to honor the warranty. If you can return it as quick as possible, after 3 months, they're just going to give you the runaround. And I'm in a complaint process right now where I'm going to see if they can take the person or the seller who sold me this off, or just have them honor my warranty or whatever. I don't know. I really don't want to mess with these anymore. I don't want any new ones, or I don't want any aftermarket ones anymore. But some of the stuff out there that you get from China is just a total nightmare. And this is one of them. A total nightmare. If it comes down to it, damage to your bike, loss of wages, tow, it becomes pretty high. For me, it's only 10-minute fix. No biggie. For others, be aware.